Hey friends, how are you? Welcome to Kitty Witty Papercraft. If you're new here, I'm Amy. And in this video, I'm going to share some thoughts that I have on the kinds of pages that you can put inside of a junk journal. So these journals that I have in front of me are my Kitty Dory junk journals. And if you're not familiar with what a Kitty Dory is, these are my journals that are traveler's notebooks. And they're made with a cover that is made from a vintage sewing pattern envelope. And I'm currently working on a course that's coming out next month in April of 2021. And I'm going to be teaching how to make these journals. So as I'm working on this course, I had a thought. And I know that not everyone has the same access to vintage books and sources for pages, whether it's because of where you live, especially my international friends. I know you don't have the same amount or access to vintage often, like vintage books and ephemera and things. Also, some people just don't have the time to search for vintage books and things, or maybe it's a little bit out of your budget. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit and share some alternatives, or actually one alternative for you. So these are two of my Kitty Dories, and these two are filled with vintage book pages, and they are from all different sources. So I will use all kinds of vintage books, like vintage children's books, like readers and storybooks, nonfiction books like children's craft books, or children's like learning books like encyclopedias, children's dictionaries, books about science, that kind of thing, cookbooks, vintage ledger papers. Oh gosh, there's so many different kinds of vintage books, right? And also vintage ledger paper as another thing that's not a book, but just another kind of vintage paper. And then of course I use scrapbook papers also, as well as greeting cards. I will use those as pages. So there's just so many, as you can see if I'm looking through here, there's so many different kinds of books that you can use for pages. But that is not always ideal. And the other thing is that might be a little bit intimidating. This is from a sewing pattern catalog. So catalogs are another source for vintage book pages, or for vintage book pages to make into journal pages. So for whatever reason, that may not be where you are at right now, and you're still wanting to make journals. And I don't want that to be a barrier for anyone who wants to make a junk journal, and it doesn't need to be a barrier. So one thing that you can do, and this is also good for someone that's just starting out, if it seems kind of overwhelming or intimidating to try to start collecting all different sorts of vintage materials to serve as your pages, just start with what you have and what is the most simple. And for most people, it's plain paper. So this journal I filled with actually paper that I printed. So this is printable paper, but you could go even simpler and just use copy paper, you know, the paper that you put in your printer. You can just grab a bunch of that and cut it down to size, fold it in half, and sew that into a cover. So in this kind of example, the only thing vintage that you would need is a sewing pattern envelope and some cardstock to line it. And in my course, I'm going to explain in great detail how to make the cover. And if you have that, you can just fill it with plain paper inside. It does not need to be, filled with vintage pages to be a journal. Maybe you don't call it a junk journal, but it doesn't really matter. Whatever suits your purposes. The other reason why I actually really like this is, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this paper that I used inside, but the other reason I like this is perfect if you love to write. So if you are a journaler in the most traditional sense of journaling, where you're just using it to write and not document like as a scrapbooker, this might really appeal to you. I think sometimes people feel like to be a junk journaler, they need to add photos and have it more like a scrapbook and documenting events and things like that. And it doesn't have to be that way. I'm actually not, and if you know me, if you've been following me for a while, I say this all the time, I'm not really a scrapbooker or a memory keeper. And what I have my 2 kitty Dorys serving as, and I could do this like on plain paper, but I do have this in this kind of junk journal style, but I just write. These do not have any photos in them, and I haven't been consistent with doing this, but I'm hoping to get back to it soon. I've got some other things I've been doing in my morning routine, but I was using these in my morning routine to journal in. So this one here is my gratitude journal. So I was just writing something to be grateful for every day. And I just put the date in and something to be grateful for. Just kept it really, really simple. So something like this is great for just writing in. Again, you could do the same exact thing in something plain like this. This one is an affirmations journal, and this one I just write, and I write my affirmations in here. So if that kind of journaling appeals to you, then, or fits your lifestyle better than documenting with pictures and things like that, then just filling it with plain paper may work for you, and it's a great starting point if you're brand new to junk journals. So the paper that I put in this one, like I said, is printable paper. So you can go to Etsy and search for printable paper. I'm trying to think what some of the terms might it be under. Digital journal paper, digital paper, printable paper, those kinds of terms. And you will find hundreds of sellers that sell paper that you can print out at home. And it'll have all different kinds of configurations of like lines and things that you can journal on. I should have printed out some other examples. This paper here, I don't know if you can see. Let me try to focus it here. This is a dot paper. Sometimes it's called dot grid, or oh, it's too bright. You can't really see. There we go. Teeny little dots. This is the style that you find in bullet journals. This is another way that you can use these traveler's notebook journals as a bullet journal, and just fill it with your own bullet journal paper. That's another term that you can use when you do a search on Etsy. Look for bullet journal printable paper, and you'll see this dot configuration. They also sell grid configurations, and then you can also find lined paper. So you can mix it up and put different kinds of paper in your journal, or you can do all the same. I did all of the same dot paper, and actually when I was printing, I forgot to flip half of the pages over, and so half of my papers came out blank, and I trimmed the papers before I realized that, so I couldn't put it back in my machine. But that's okay, because I am actually just going to do some more decorating probably on these pages. You don't even have to decorate these pages. I might just use this as like a dream journal or something is kind of what I'm thinking I might use this one for, and just use this to just write and write. But if you want to decorate your pages, I just wanted to do a quick little page decoration just to kind of show you what I would do with this kind of journal. This paper here, I know someone's going to ask me where I bought this paper or what seller, and I bought it years and years ago from Creative Market, actually. It wasn't even on Etsy. That's just another like marketplace where you can buy digitals. And I looked and I couldn't find this seller anymore, so I'm guessing they don't have a shop. But you will be able to find all different kinds of printable paper on Etsy if you want to do that. And you can print it right on whatever copy paper you have. That will be a little bit thinner, but you can also print it on slightly thicker paper. So the paper that I used for this journal is really nice. It's and I'll put the link to the paper in the description box below, but it's HP brand presentation paper. It's 32-pound weight, so it's heavier than copy paper, but it's really, really smooth. It's a really nice writing paper, especially if you're using different kinds of pens. Like I've got these colorful Pilot Precise pens. I love these pens, and they work really nicely on this really smooth paper. And that's the other thing. You can make it fun by just adding colorful pens, stamps. I'm going to decorate a page like I said, and hopefully show you how you can still decorate it a little bit if you want to make it have a more of a junk journal feel without having to make the pages be what gives it the junk journal feel. The other thing I wanted to mention was the number of pages I put in this. So as I just mentioned, this paper is a little bit heavier than copy paper. It's 32-pound paper, so it's pretty thick. This journal, I put 17 sheets of paper in it. So it's on the thin side. I think as I use it, it'll lay a little bit flatter, but because this paper is a little bit heavier, it's popping up a little bit. There's, what did I say? There was 17 sheets in this. The Kitty Dories that I'm making these days have 18 sheets of paper. Now, when I make mine to sell, and also for the kits that I put together, those have 18 sheets. I have found that that makes a really nice size. Like, let me grab my Christmas one real quick. This one's just sitting here. This one has 18 sheets of paper, just like I am using now. And this one is super, super chunky. So I really find that not using more than 17 or 18 pages is good, because it allows you to really bulk it up with pockets and different kinds of embellishments that are like 3D embellishments and lots of trims and things. So you can really get a chunky journal. You know, you can go from this to, I'm trying to get it to show a little bit better, you know, to that with the same number of pages. So it's actually better to kind of err on fewer pages so you can add bulk to them, to the journals, and not worry about it. Something like this that you're just going to write in, you may not get it too thick, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be thick. Just as a comparison, I wanted to show you these two. So this one has the fewest pages. This one actually only has 12 sheets of paper in it, but you can see it's a lot thicker than this one here. And the reason why it's thicker is I've added lots of ephemera inside of it. You know, this seed packet has a stiff journaling card in it, and there's a postcard flip out here, and this pom-pom trim bulks it up. And then in the back here, I've got a pocket that is made of acetate, and it's attached with foam dimensional tape, so that adds thickness there. And this little shaker just adds thickness to it. So there's not that many pages in this, but it's still got pretty chunky. This one is about the same thickness as this one here with 12 pages, and this one has 19 pages in it. So it just doesn't have as much in the way of pockets and thicker things like this one. So you really don't need a whole lot of pages, is what I'm trying to say there. Yeah, so yeah, this is a little bit on the thinner side, but I think as I use this, when I want to, like when I'm in the mood to just kind of do a little bit of crafting, I will add some little trims to the page edges, and I might decorate the page a little bit. Like maybe while I'm kind of thinking of what I want to write, I will decorate the page a little bit. And I'm going to leave this front one blank, so it's like a title page. I may come back and do something with that at some point, so I'm just going to leave that one there. And I want to keep a lot of room for writing. So when you have a journal where you want to have a lot of room for writing, just focus on, you know, the top of the page or the bottom of the page and adding like a little cluster or something. So I have not planned this out at all, but I thought I would just kind of do a video today. So I'm just going to add some washi tape here and there on this page as I'm sort of thinking of what I want to do here. So on my table, I just brought over, let me show you what I brought over to the table first. I brought 3 rolls of washi tape that I like, and I pulled some drawers out of a little drawer organizer I have for die cuts and different paper embellishments. These are all Pretty Little Studio die cut packs in this drawer here. So I've got some die cuts, and I have another drawer that has these little mini paper doilies. These are my favorite. These are 3-inch mini paper doilies from Doodlebug Design. And a little side note, I'm actually going to be carrying these in my shop, all of the colors that they make in these mini paper doilies. And I'm waiting. They should be shipping any day now, so I'm just waiting for the shipping confirmation on that. But I'm really excited to offer them because they're hard to find. And I was able to get a wholesale account with Doodlebug Design. So I'm going to be carrying those doilies in my shop as a regular item moving forward. So I've got some little enamel pieces there. And then I just grabbed some different stickers, word stickers and some decorative stickers. Just grabbed one sheet of Maggie Holmes cardstock stickers and a Maggie Holmes sticker book. So I will just kind of use those items, and it's not really about like having a theme or anything like that in a journal like this. It's just kind of having fun and just kind of letting it be a free flow sort of thing that you do. So like I said, for this kind of journal, I would probably, I've got fuzz on there, I would probably just decorate the top of the page, a corner of a page, maybe the top and the bottom, or just the top or just the bottom, or something like that. So let's see. So I might want to, I don't usually decorate when I'm making a video. This is not my strong suit. This is something that I usually take a lot of time, probably more time than I should, to put a page together, because I love doing it, not because I'm overthinking it, but really just I love the process of just playing around with things and seeing what kind of comes out. You know, I just like to play around with different ideas and see what I come up with. So, trying to think here what I want to do without belaboring the point. I don't think you want to watch me just kind of play around with all my products here and come up with an idea of what I want to do for this page. So I picked this sticker just because it jumped out at me, because it picks up the colors that are in the washi tape here already. And again, there's like no true rhyme or reason for picking anything. It's just having fun and just kind of letting things happen without doing too much planning. And I just said like a second ago, I sometimes get caught up in that and just playing around with the different ideas, but I do try to get myself to just kind of go with the flow and not overthink things. And I've gotten better and better at that as I've worked on it more, like following my intuition when I'm creating. And one of the ways I do that is pulling, like I showed you in the beginning, or in a few minutes ago before I started this page, I showed you the things that I pulled over to my table. And that is what I'm going to use for this page, just the things that I pulled over to the table. I've said this before, that limiting my choices helps me move along and not be overwhelmed. If I was giving myself access to all of the paper crafting supplies that I have, then the process would be potentially really long, and then it starts to feel overwhelming because there's too many choices. So I limit myself, and I just pull some things that just kind of speak to me as I am looking through like the bin or what have you. And like when I pulled these stickers out, just, you know, I just pulled this for no reason other than it just appealed to me in that moment. So these sticker sheets, that's how I pulled those out. And I know I can do something with them. I love little quotes and phrases, so I'm just going to add one of these here. And this is like all you need to do. I think I will add a little bit more washi to. Sorry, my video just kind of had an abrupt transition there when I did the washi tape at the bottom, because I forgot that my camera only records 20 minutes before automatically shutting off, and I don't have a way of knowing that it's going to do that without setting a timer, and I forgot to do that. So the only thing that I had covered that I'm going to kind of backtrack and cover that now is I added a date to this page with a roller stamp and some ink. And I just mentioned that that's another fun thing you can do to your pages, just to kind of make them feel more colorful and just kind of add a little fun element to it. But the only thing I just really wanted to emphasize is you can use whatever you have, start with where you are, and maybe as a stepping stone to more like traditional junk journals, you can start with vintage ephemera to add to your pages. So instead of looking for vintage books and catalogs and magazines and all those kinds of things to be pages, you can start with blank, kind of plain pages like this and add vintage ephemera. So those smaller pieces of vintage. And I should have grabbed some, but I did not do that before this video. I do have a little sewing or a seed packet here. And so this is something that you could add to a page. So this could be like something you take the flap and wrap it around the edge of a page, and you have like a little, if you glue the flap down behind this page, you can have a little flip out, and then it's a pocket, and you can use the pocket to put a journaling card in. These are like the perfect size to hold 3x4 journaling cards, which is like the traditional journaling card size. You could also use this to hold little pieces of ephemera that you might use to decorate this journal with. So this is just something you can use to store the ephemera in. So like I said, just start with where you are. And if starting with just ephemera and not like all the books and things appeals to you, I will put a link in the description box below of a PDF form list that I have that lists all my favorite Etsy and Instagram shops for buying vintage ephemera. So if you kind of need some help figuring out where to find ephemera, that might be something that helps you. And it's just a free list that I can send you. And what did I want to say about that? Some of the sellers do sell or ship internationally. So if you are outside of the US, that still might be something that helps you. But, you know, that just could be a good stepping stone into junk journals. And it's a lot simpler than trying to do the ephemera and all the books and things also. So hopefully this was helpful. And if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Like I said, my course coming out in April will teach how to make these journals. And I will drop a link in the description box also to a wait list I have. And everyone on my wait list is going to be added to my email list, and you will be the first to find out all the details of my course when it comes out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you really soon. Bye now.